Oh man, so Ja Morant is in the news. He has recently been suspended because he decided to flash a gun for the second time. I'm going to talk about this today. First, I'm going to play a quick video to kind of introduce the topic. I'm going to come back with some thoughts, and I'm going to break down a round table that Shaq, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and the guys had talking about this issue. So today we're going to have a really interesting video. Stay tuned. Check this out.
Memphis Grizzlies star Ja Morant has been suspended for a second time after once again appearing to flash a gun on social media. The video circulated on Saturday night. It shows Morant with what appears to be a handgun while he's riding in a friend's car. Yesterday, the Grizzlies said they were aware of the video and suspended Morant from all team activities pending league review. In March, Morant was suspended for 8 games after he was seen holding a gun inside a nightclub on Instagram Live. A representative for Morant did not immediately respond to requests for comment.
So I started to make a video on this topic the first time Ja Morant was suspended for flashing his gun in the nightclub. He's actually been involved in a number of incidents. He had a situation where he jumped or at least beat up this high school student who was at his house playing a pickup game of 21. Things got out of control, ended up jumping or beating up this high school kid. He flashed a gun in the club, was suspended for that. And I was trying to give him, I tried to, stay neutral, not make a video on the topic, even though I did think about it. I didn't want to beat up on him. I saw a lot of people, talking about this guy, downplaying him, discouraging him. And I didn't want to disparage the guy. I thought he was getting enough backlash. But now this is his second offense. I'm saying a trend. I'm saying multiple offenses, and I'm starting to question this brother's character. Now, to be fair, there's a number of ways, a number of angles you can look at this thing. So that's why I think it's best if I break down the round table that Charles Barkley, Shaq, Kenny Smith, and those guys had, and kind of tell you where I think they're right and where I think they're wrong. I think that's a better format. So that's what we're going to do today.
Let's talk about some news that's been front and center in the NBA. Let's start with Ja Morant, because we've seen again another incident here this month. Instagram Live, apparently brandishing a handgun, and so can you tell me what would be appropriate punishment?
Well, I think before we get to punishment, Ernie, I think we need to understand the situation and the levity of the situation. A lot of people say, well, what did he do? He flashed a gun. Some people have been saying there, and then other people are saying, hey, this guy is flashing a gun and that's serious offense. The NBA has a morality clause that in everyone's contract. Let's start there. That expresses about violence, racism, all types of different things that can be considered morality. Flashing guns will be part of that. And when Adam Silver brings you in the office and says, we're going to suspend you a game, and this is part of the morality clause, why you're going to do it, then you do it again, there's something wrong with you. I hear a lot also, Charles and Shaq, about, oh, he's got to get new friends. It gets to a point, it's not your friends, it's you. It isn't your friends. Or maybe you're the friend that they shouldn't be around because you have the access, the power, and the money. And Ja Morant is just at a point in his life where he has to make a decision. Am I going to hold myself accountable to a higher standard? And if he chooses to do that, he can move on because he hasn't hurt anyone to this point yet. He has only looked foolish. That's his only crime right now, is being foolish and possibly influencing NBA followers. The next step is something happens. And because he's putting himself in a world where you're saying, I'm flashing guns because I'm going to use them. And there are people out here in this world that look for target people like Ja Morant. It's okay. You want to be that? Let's see if you're really about that. Because you do have a lot of access that we don't have, and those people in those world. And that's where Ja Morant has to make that decision himself. So punishment is always going to be accountable. Whatever he gets from Adam Silver, but his inability to understand that it's him, it's not his friends. So I don't want to hear everyone talk, oh, his friends, and he needs it. It's him who's making that decision. And we've all had friends that are influenced positively and negatively.
So I'm going to respond to what Kenny Smith just had to say, but first I want to give you some background information concerning relevant laws to this situation. First of all, Tennessee gun laws. As of July 1st, 2021, an adult can carry a handgun openly or concealed. in Tennessee without a permit if the person is 21 years or older or 18 years or older for some military personnel. Secondarily, laws can vary slightly from state to state, but most states will have something on the books that describe brandishing a weapon as drawing it or exhibiting it in a threatening manner or using it in a fight other than in lawful self-defense. Now, I am not a lawyer, but I just thought I'd share a little bit of background information concerning the relevant laws, give you some background context information. Now, let me come back with some thoughts. So Kenny makes some interesting points here. First of all, he points out that it should not be the responsibility of Ja Morant's friends to take accountability for this situation. First of all, Ja Morant has just been suspended for 8 games for brandishing a weapon the first time. So for it to happen again right after he was already suspended, he has to take some personal accountability on that. You can't blame your friends. The buck ends with him. Second of all, this is a very bad look. The brother's making $200 million contractually. Why even jeopardize that type of money, that type of generational wealth, just to look cool? Like, it's not a good look at all. With that being said, a lot of people are saying, you know, at the end of the day, in Tennessee, he has the right to carry a weapon, which I would encourage. I'm a Second Amendment supporter. I support the Second Amendment. I'm an advocate for the Second Amendment. I think, especially as black folks, we need to be carrying firearms, especially, you know, you're a target already. I think that you should defend yourself responsibly. But, you know, it's not to be shown on IG Live, and especially when you're making that type of money. Kenny the Jet Smith points out that, okay, even though it's not illegal for him to have the weapon, he wasn't in a fight, he wasn't in an altercation, so technically he would not be brandishing a weapon. Brandishing a weapon is when you show your weapon in a threatening manner. Yo, back up, you pull it on somebody, yo, back up off me. That's brandishing a weapon. In this case, he was not trying to threaten or intimidate anybody, so technically he didn't break any laws. However, the NBA is enforcing a morality clause. Now, this is where things get shady. This is where things get a little bit racy, shall we say. What makes it immoral to have a firearm? I mean, there's plenty of other people who go to gun ranges, who go on hunting expeditions where they have firearms, where they fire their guns. They're not in any type of trouble with the morality clause. So where do we draw the line as far as your right to have a weapon, your right to carry a gun? He did nothing illegal, so why is it immoral? This is where it gets a little murky. Let's see what Charles Barkley has to say on the topic.
Well, first of all, I got to say something, man. We got some idiots, some fools, some jackasses on television that really just piss me off, talking about Ja should make a stand saying he didn't break any laws. He didn't do anything wrong. We're in a state where you can carry your gun. Those guys are just freaking idiots. And I only say freaking because y'all won't let me say what I want to say.
We don't care for it.
It pisses me off when I hear guys say that. Yo, man, when you're making $100 million a year to play sports, your life changes. There are certain rules and regulations you have to live by, plain and simple. You can't do stupid stuff. That's the trade-off. Now, if you want to do all that stuff and give all that money back, more power to you. You can make that stand. Say, you know what, I want to do what I want to do. I want to flash my gun and make videos and do things. Okay, that's fine. But you can't make money on the NBA doing this stuff. I just hope that he grows up and realizes, like, yo, man, first of all, you're not a thug. You're not a criminal. You're not a crook. You're a guy making $100 million a year to dribble a stupid, $200 million to dribble a stupid basketball. And you hit the lottery. We all hit the lottery to do something. There's people out there work 9 to 5, 8 and 9 hours a week, gonna make $25,000 a year. They will kill to be in our situation. And, you know, Kenny's right. At some point, it's not your friends. Bill Parcells used to always say, and I love it, he says, yo, man, you just an unlucky dude. Bad stuff happen around you all the time. You just an unlucky dude. No, man. You got to look in the mirror and say, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'm the problem. And it's disappointing
because the kid's a great player. But to be a fool already, then be a bigger fool a couple months later, and this is like your fifth or sixth gun thing. And like I say, hey, I'm a gun guy. But I don't understand why you're flashing it. My bodyguard teaching me, man, if you touch your gun, you better shoot somebody. It ain't for everybody to know you got. And he riding around with, I guess he think he with Antoine Fuqua and Steven Spielberg. You got your quote friends filming you. They're idiots too. And I'm just sad, Ernie, because it's a bad look.
So I kind of got to push back a little bit from Charles Barkley on this one. Charles Barkley is a little bit harsher on Ja Morant than I would be. First of all, like I said, calling everyone who's defending Ja Morant a fool and an idiot, I don't agree with that, because you could make a strong case that Ja Morant did nothing wrong. He did nothing illegal. Carrying a weapon, a firearm, is not illegal. He didn't point it at anybody. He didn't shoot anybody. So people defending him, they're not idiots just because they're defending him, just because they have a different point of view. So just off of that alone, I kind of got to disagree with Chuck. Furthermore, Charles Barkley is 60 years old. Ja Morant is 23. So looking down on Ja Morant and looking down on everybody who defends him, I mean, you're putting yourself in this holier than now perspective. Just because you're older, you have a different opinion. Like, anyone who defends the Second Amendment is wrong. He's 23 years old. Maybe he hasn't had the same advice that you've had in your 60 years of life. And then for him to say, oh, you're not a thug, you're not a criminal. First of all, the only thing that makes Ja Morant not a thug is the fact that he has a good job. This whole line of who is a thug and who isn't a thug, even Tupac said thug life, right? Tupac was a multimillionaire when he got that tatted on his skin. Tupac, the rapper, Tupac Shakur, got thug life tatted in his skin, and he explains the reasoning behind it. He says, yeah, I'm making millions of dollars, but you still treat me like a thug. You treat me like a thug. The media crucifies me every time like I'm a thug. So why shouldn't I just embrace that image? Why shouldn't I embrace that label as a thug? Because just because I have a good job, it doesn't make me any less thuggish. Now, Ja Morant in this situation is a perfect example of that. There's a lot of corporate thugs out here. There's a lot of people with good jobs making good money who, if you would take them out of their school uniform, or their school uniform for those college kids, or their work uniform for those employed, those corporate thugs out there, if you put them into some different clothes, you would call these people thugs. Just because you take them from one uniform and put them into a different situation doesn't make it's about the character. It's not about your job. Your job doesn't make you not a thug. Ja Morant flipping burgers at Burger King, you call him a thug. Ja Morant in the NBA, you say he's not a thug. So the only thing that makes you not a thug is whether or not you can get a good job? Is that what we're saying? The only thing that makes you a thug is you don't have a good job. And if you do have a good job, then you can't be a thug. Is that really what we're saying? I don't know if that's true. I don't really know if that's the label that we're going to go with, if that's the narrative that we're going to accept. Charles Barkley, I kind of got to push back against that one. Let's see what Shaq has to say.
I said last time, we can do things to put ourselves in jeopardy. Last time the incident happened, that was a mistake, and I'm trying to explain to people there's a difference between a mistake and a choice. Oh, that's a mistake. But if I think about it and decide to punch you, that's a choice. He made a choice to pull his phone out the first time when he in the club with no shirt on, to hit the live button, wait for it to connect, and do what he did. His friend made a choice the second time to hit the live button. He saw the camera in his face. He made the choice, not thinking. He has to understand there's written laws and unwritten laws. Do what you like, right? But Chuck makes a great point. Kenny makes a great point. And a lot of people arguing, a lot of these idiots arguing, they never heard the term morality clause. But you're in a $1 billion corporation now. You can't do that. That's an unwritten law. You can't do that, right? You can't do it. And not only that, you got kids looking up to you, brother. Kids want to be like you. Ever since the absence of the other guy, they're talking about you having the highest selling sneaker. Like you have a responsibility, right? Charles, when he was saying I'm not a role model, he's not a role model. But one thing I like about Charles is he's honest.
He says what's on his mind, and he's a kind person. So when you're in that position, you got a responsibility. And again, the 2 times that got himself in trouble, him and his boy made the choice to show the world what he was doing. You don't hit that button, we don't know what you're doing in minutes.
Okay, so there's more to this discussion, but I'm going to leave it here with some final thoughts. First of all, I kind of like what Shaq has to say. I don't agree 100% with everything he has to say because, of course, there's not going to be any nuance. They're on TNT. This is a national network television, right? So, of course, they can't have anyone supporting what Ja Morant is doing. Of course, they're all going to be piling up on Ja Morant. Oh, yeah, he's an idiot. Oh, everyone defending him is an idiot. So I don't agree with all that. But Shaq does make an interesting point. He says, especially at the end of this clip, if Ja Morant never hit record, we wouldn't be talking about it. He wouldn't have been suspended, and this whole situation, both times, could have all been avoided. There's a lesson in that. There's a jewel to be dropped right there. You know, you got to understand this kid is 23 years old. That means he's a Y2K baby. He was born in the year 2000. By the time this kid was in middle school, they already had iPhones, they had Facebook, they already had kids going live by the time this kid was in high school. He grew up on this stuff. This is his life. This is his generation. I'm a little bit older than Ja Morant. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my 30s. So I grew up mostly in the 90s, right? I grew up mostly in the 90s. This was back when they had AOL. You had to wait till you got home to sit in front of a computer to get onto the internet. You couldn't just, you look at your phone and get on the internet back in the 90s. This is before Y2K, before iPhone. This is before Blackberries and you know what I mean? I'm talking way back. I'm talking about Nokia phones. We didn't have just get on the internet and upload your life. I come up before that time. So I grew up with a time where we weren't just living our whole lives on the internet for everybody to see. But the era that Ja Morant is growing up in, this man grew up, I have to be visible, I have to get followers, I have to get views, I have to get clicks. This is the life that he grew up in at being such a young age. So this is really like a canary in the coal mine. Ja Morant, he's the first. He's not the first because, of course, we had Gilbert Arenas, who was flashing guns, got suspended for taking guns into the arena. That's in DC, you know. So he's not the first to be caught up with gun issues as an NBA star, but he is the first to be caught up mixing street life, flashing guns and stuff like that, that street mentality, with the internet, with the NBA. So the NBA, just imagine a 23-year-old kid. You go from nothing, go from poverty. Next thing you know, you're making, boom, $200 million a year. Can you imagine all the endorphins, all of the dopamine in your system, all the views, everyone looking at you? You're only 23 years old. That can be a lot to manage. That can be a lot to manage if you don't have the right guidance, if you don't have the right structure, the right systems to support you, the right support system. So I feel like, I think Ja Morant's, the backlash he's receiving is justified. I can't condone his actions. He's jeopardizing his future, his wealth, and the future of his lineage. I think that's unwise decision. But to be fair, in his defense, I think he's a young kid. He has a bright future ahead of him, and I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. But hey, that's just what I think. Tell me if you agree. If you do, hit the like button. If you disagree, leave it in the comment section. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to smash the subscribe button. Try to drop a video just about every day. You get a good 5 to 6 videos out of me every week. So subscribe, come back for more. We can have these type of discussions. I respond to all my comments in the comment section. So tell me what you agree with, tell me what you disagree with, tell me if you have any suggestions for the channel. I appreciate all the feedback, and salute to all the new subscribers. Y'all really do motivate me to keep this thing going. I appreciate you all. Peace. So you made it all the way to the end of the video, but you haven't hit the like button yet. Come on now. You're cheating me, you're cheating yourself. Go ahead, hit the like button.
And while you're at it, you might as well smash the subscribe button so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. I make a video every day, a different topic, a different subject. They're all interesting, so you can check them all out by hitting the subscribe button and setting your notifications to all so you get an alert when I drop a video. There you go.